has Judge's Familiar.
Yeah, and that was something I thought
deck.
was great. You play like, especially against a lot of these decks that are trying to counter. I mean, not like some of these control decks that are just trying to play a lot of non-creature spells. You've got Judge's Familiar and you've got Thalia like on top of that. It's just another a nice kind of matchup for this deck, or a nice way to kind of shore up that matchup.
It's also a real nice card against a lot of the Gen decks that are playing this weekend because they happen to all be sort of adapting Bonfire of the Damned. William is among them, but it was not like a staple to be Bonfire of the Damned people. But now, today, like there's just been a lot of Jund with Bonfire of the Damned. The card's been very popular, and Cursed Catcher's a pretty reasonable card against Bonfire of the Damned.
Yeah, I guess so. So, underway.
Overgrown Tomb, and then we're paying 2 life, it looks like, for a Temple Garden on Gabriel's side.
Not
Could it be?
shocked.
Oh, it's just an Avacyn's Pilgrim.
Just an Avacyn's Pilgrim, not a Judge's Familiar.
Way less exciting. But also a much better start for Gabriel.
Yeah.
Being on the draw and having a Pilgrim, good feeling. You know you're going to get the jump on your opponent. Hopefully be able to drop a power 3, maybe a 2 and a 1. Kind of depends on what you expect. Against Jund, I think it's a little risky to start jamming just all the guys out there, but something tough and durable would be nice.
Yeah, so William just goes ahead and plays a Farseek. Pretty much the default turn 1 play from the Jund decks. I'm not turn 1 play, I mean first play. It would be nice if you could play a Farseek on turn 1, but default first spell from the Jund decks.
Interestingly, Gabriel's list does not include Loxodon Smiters, which is a pretty typical green-white card these days, but it's one of the better big guys against Jund because there aren't a lot of spells that like really easily remove it, and it's immune to stuff like Bonfire. So
also nice if you get hit with like Rakdos is returned if people were playing it main deck.
Very true. Gabriel looks like he's got a Silverblade Paladin and a Thalia in there. Some lands.
He's got a lot of lands, it looks like, or maybe I'm just
and
seeing
a Knight
it
of
wrong.
Glory.
He's got at least 2 planes there.
We're gonna go with Silverblade Paladin. I'm not sure if we're pairing or not. I assume that we're not. I'm not really sure on that though.
Yeah, I don't think he paired them. He didn't make any indication that he did.
Doesn't seem like a very strong pair. William is probably just gonna kill that and plan to play a Thragtusk on the next turn.
No pairs.
Correct. When you're the Jund deck here, you mostly just want to make sure your opponent doesn't get ahead because the Jund deck is actually not that great at catching up.
Yeah.
It's big on parity. So he's going to go for a Farseek, and then I imagine a Dreadbore if he's going to make this line instead of the Sever.
Yeah, again, it's similar to a typical control deck at this point in its game plan, where it's just like just trying to get to the late game. Not even the late game, but you know, kind of like a later mid game.
Jund just wants to get to the point where it can cast all of its spells because its spells are pretty good. Oh, it's an Abrupt Decay, not a Dreadbore. Same difference, however.
That'll work as well.
That means he's going to pass, and he could potentially accrue some value if Gabriel decides to get real frisky with a Rancor. At a minimum, he knows Gabriel will have to show him the next creature he's playing, because Gabriel's certainly not going to attack with an unpaired Soulblade Paladin. That would be silly.
It would. And we have planes from Gabriel. Selesnya Charm, yep. He's got Selesnya Charm, planes. Couldn't quite see what else.
Let's see, we've got 4 mana. Sublime Archangel, incoming. Oh, we
That's
had
a
such
card.
big dreams.
Yeah.
Our dreams are gone from us.
Well, being left with a Sublime Archangel isn't the worst thing.
It's not the worst. William's probably going to have to spend his turn severing that card because playing Thragtusk and then getting hit by Sublime Archangel is not exactly a profitable exchange of resources. Yep.
Sever the Bloodline and a Deathrite Shaman. And Gabriel left with just an Avacyn's Pilgrim and his 3 lands.
Note the power of being on the play in this matchup. This game would look a lot different if Gabriel was leading, but because William was able to get Farseek against the Avacyn's Pilgrim, he's been pretty much just able to match Gabriel play for play without taking significant amount of damage.
Yeah, the later this game goes, the more it favors William. At this point, Gabriel hasn't even been able to present a significant threat that, you know, it hasn't been able to survive an entire turn cycle.
I think he's considering going Night of Glory here and just getting in for 3. It's a pretty risky play because if your opponent has Bonfire of the Damned, the game is over on the spot. But realistically, if your opponent has Bonfire of the Damned, you're probably not going to win this game.
Yeah.
Like, you're not in a good spot.
Well, there's night number 1.
The alternative options are not nearly as good. Yep.
Night number 2, so...
I like this play.
Gonna go ahead and attack for 3 with an Avacyn's Pilgrim.
He's not going to kill himself. You do got to attack.
Another Deathrite Shaman for William.
Now William has an Olivia Voldaren, which is a reasonable card against his board, but not a fantastic one. Obviously it's a black creature, so that's not exciting. He's probably just going to Thrag Tusk. Yep.
And he does.
Coming up to the stage, we are ready to start. Once again, $10 draft 9. Come on up to the stage.
This is where we really wish we had that Sublime Archangel. It would do some work. Gabriel flooding a little bit here.
Yeah, plays a Forest. What's that?
Really
We know he has
township.
Selesnya Charm.
He has Selesnya Charm and Thalia, I believe.
Okay.
Really needs a Township. In this situation, Township could break the stalemate in his favor pretty quickly. He would only need to activate it twice, right, to get past a Thragtusk? Yeah.
Looks like...
Precinct Captain, not Thalia. Alright, well that's significantly better if we can get it going, but significantly worse if we can't, because it doesn't protect us from Bonfire.
William checking for the Bonfire, finds another Olivia.
That's got to be disheartening for Gabriel to see too, because he's like, oh man, he has it.
Yeah, he plays
he's
Bonfire.
Not on mortars,
it's
he's on
coming,
bonfires. Yeah. They exist, they're real.
So Olivia comes down alongside a Deathrite Shaman for William, and he just passes back.
We really needed a Township that turn to protect our Precinct Captain from just getting Olivia to death. Avacyn's Pilgrim, not that attached. Looks like we drew a Soulblade Paladin, so we have something slightly better to Olivia to death, but this also will enable Gabriel to make an attack this turn.
Looks to be soul bonding with the Knight of Glory.
Yeah, that seems reasonable.
One of the Knights of Glory. And he attacks. 2 Exalted triggers.
So that's a 4/3 double striker, also known as Serious Business.
Yeah, for sure. Thragtusk is going to get in the way.
He's good at that. Elephant you.
Yep. And are we going to see a Selesnya Charm here? He's thinking about it. He is. Yeah, looks like Selesnya Charm +2/+2 and trample.
That's pretty good with your double striking creature.
That's big game. Thragtusk is big game too.
Yeah.
Like literally big game.
So that puts our guy to 6 power against 3 toughness and going twice.
Yep.
That's 9 damage going through.
Yeah.
Puts William from 20 to 11. Or from, huh? Yeah, from 20 to 11. And now he's probably feeling a lot less comfortable than he was a second ago.
Does have a beast as a consolation prize.
Does have a beast, and he has a lot of chumps. Obviously, as long as Knight of Glories are alive, the Deathrite Shamans are not going to be that functional as chump blockers. The problem being that Gabriel's probably going to want to rely on his Precinct Captain thanks to its first strike once the Soulblade Paladin dies. Looks like we have another Olivia and an Abrupt Decay in William's hand. One of those is not useful, the other one is. Olivia's going to kill the Soulblade Paladin while Gabriel is tapped out and Hellbent. So now Gabriel's stuck on Precinct Captain offense.
And Olivia swinging in for 5, going to knock Gabriel to 13.
Yep. Currently ahead in the race. If we have a way to get past that Beast token, then we might be able to do some work with our Knight of Glories. But the green Beast token is definitely going to prevent any damage. The problem is, like, when the Precinct Captain starts attacking, the Deathrite Shamans are going to be blocking and not the Beast token, so...
So, Precinct Captain coming over, Exalted triggers twice, Deathrite Shaman gets in the way.
Now, will William aggressively remove an instant, or will he just remove a creature and try to float the life while leaning on Olivia? Against a white-green deck, I'm going to be pretty inclined to just go for the life, because how are they going to kill my Olivia anyway?
Right.
That card's unbeatable.
And it wasn't clear. I think he removed a spell. Did he remove Selesnya
I
Charm?
believe he removed a Selesnya Charm as well, so Williams getting aggressive. This will give him the opportunity to turn his clock into a 2-turn clock, which will let him kill the opponent 1 turn faster, but I think it opens him up to, getting got by a couple of different things. None of them are super scary. Sublime Archangel is actually the only one that's like kind of horrifying because it would put the game back to a stalemated position.
And Olivia grows twice.
Oh, she's at 7, and now
Precinct captain
Bing.
goes away, and Olivia bashes in for 7.
oh, he's sending the beast
8,
token
9,
too.
10.
Aggressive.
And that may...
We're gonna block.
Okay. Absence Pilgrim gets in the way.
Yeah, I don't really think the attack with beast token is super necessary. We can't attack with our Knight of Glories as long as that beast token's there anyway. And like, William clearly doesn't think anything bad can happen to him, but funny thing about bad things, you never really see him coming most of the time.
We know his hand. He's got Abrupt Decay, Olivia, and a land.
Yeah,
And Olivia's a dead card. Abrupt Decay, unless he wants to hit his own guys, is a dead card.
See, back in my day, we had things like Might of Oaks and Stonewood Invocation. We could legitimately threaten our opponent in this kind of a position, but Gabriel has access to no such crad. With the 6th land in play for William,
he scoops him up. Yeah, that was pretty rough the whole game, I think, for Gabriel. But he did seem like he had a way.
He found a way in.
Yeah.
And looking at his deck, yeah, he didn't have a lot of outs from the position he was in at that point. Beyond like a Sigarda to chump for a turn, he had very little going on. Moving into the sideboard, I know Gabriel has said he's not a big fan of the Jund matchup, just generally.
And that's understandable. Like all of their guys, their entire deck is creatures that are bigger than his in most cases, and removal for the guys that maybe are a little bigger or can match up well.
The best piece of removal that Gabriel has access to is Oblivion Ring, but that's not very effective against Abrupt Decay deck.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if I would be bringing those in if I were him. It might be necessary just as a way to kill the evil that is Olivia Voldaren.
Yeah, of which there's a 3rd copy in William's board.
Not exciting. You can bring in a couple more creatures, but like Centaur Healer and Rock's Faithbender aren't better than what you've already got going on. I get the feeling those are for more aggressive strategies.
Sure, yeah.
So I think he won't be changing too many things, I imagine. The other Selesnya Charm going up to 4, that seems fine.
Yeah, Pithing Needle's a way to deal with Olivia.
That's true. I could see bringing in the one Pithing Needle.
Copy, yeah.
It's pretty good value. And you know the Jund player could have some Planeswalkers. I think, Garruk Primal Hunter in Williams' list, although Gabriel doesn't know which Garruk it is, or even if there's Garruk at all. So
right.
Kind of hard to figure out.
Could be Vraska.
Rakdos Keyrune is also a worthy target.
Absolutely, yeah. He's just got 1 needle, but the interesting thing about naming Olivia, it neuters the one in play, and any subsequent ones in their hand are dead, and you're like, they're stuck with a mediocre 3/3 flyer. And that has, the legend rule will keep them from playing the second or third copy. So.
Williams' list is pretty interesting. He came pretty heavily metagamed for the mirror with them and the control decks with a main deck Slaughter Games, and I imagine he's expecting Restoration Angels with those 2 main deck ultimate prices as well. Those would have come in handy against Gabriel had he drawn them, but no rub-ins. We just casually Abrupt Decayed him right out of the game.
Yeah, Abrupt Decay and Sever the Bloodline took care of anything that was super threatening.
Post-board, Williams got just a ton of removal. He's got 3 Dreadbore, a Rolling Tembler. He could bring in Liliana, although I don't think that's very good. He does have another Olivia. Beyond that,
I think that's enough.
I think just the Dreadbores and the Rolling Temblers will be coming in. We'll cut that Slaughter Games for sure. No need to do any of that nonsense.
Yeah.
Beyond that, Deathrite Shaman is kind of weak in the matchup. Doesn't really block too many things super effectively. And unless you're planning to trade in combat, then you're not going to get a lot of use out of its various modes.
Yeah.
Garruk is really powerful if it's in play, but it's a little expensive. I could see like shaving one, something like that.
Yeah, just to make room for some of these cheaper removal spells.
Beyond that, he's just going to be leaning on Huntmaster, Thragtusk, and Bonfire of the Damned. Those are his big cards in the matchup. And if he draws 2 copies of any of them, it'll probably be enough to win, generally speaking.
Yeah, just 1 Bonfire can be enough.
Yeah. Especially if you actually draw
plenty of time, yeah. so looks like the players are shuffling each other's decks now, I think.
Gabriel did just defeat John last round. He's familiar with the matchup. Not excited about the matchup, but familiar with it.
Have you done any deck techs today?
We did a video deck tech with David Thomas talking about his reanimator list.
How's he doing at this point? Do you know what his record is?
Last I checked, he was X1, but it's been a round or two since I checked.
Okay.
Yep. We've been trying to get Gabriel actually in for a deck tech on his white-green aggro deck, 'cause it's a little different from the ones we've seen. We've also had Tony Lay, who you just saw under the camera with his Chromatic Lantern deck. His rounds have been going very long, but I've been trying to get him for a deck tech.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's
the 5-color control decks rounds have been going along.
Yeah, I know.
Really? That's crazy.
Criminal.
He had 15 minutes left in the round we watched.
If you guys do want to see some of the deck lists from the event, we have some coverage articles up that include them. I believe one of them is titled "Standard Not So Much."
Yeah,
discussing some of the more interesting decks in the field.
Yeah, when going into today, like, I think I was expecting a lot more aggro, just because of the area that we're in. Like, I think typically the South is very, especially mono red oriented, if not, just general aggro oriented. But
I think it's been here, to be honest. Like, there were a lot of these aggressive players, but they've been quickly kiboshed by Augur of Bolas, Thragtusk, just all this nonsense.
Yeah. It's tough to play an aggressive deck in a format where the probably most played card is gaining 5 life and putting blockers in the way.
Yeah. Thragtusk advocates playing exactly one kind of magic, and it is not aggressive. Gabriel, not excited about his hand. I see, looks like 3 planes, a Soulblade Paladin, some other cards.
Looks like an Oblivion Ring.
Yeah, this hand's pretty slow. I think that's a Gavany Township on the left. So we've got 4 lands, no green mana. The middle card looks green. Not really 100% sure on what it is.
Could be Thragtusk.
Could be Thragtusk. That seems like the most likely. So that was a real slow hand. Not what we're looking for. Throwing it back.
Looks like William's good with his.
Yeah. It's good discipline on a mulligan. It sucks to mulligan against Jund because it's such an attrition deck, but when your hand's not going to win, you should generally mulligan it, regardless of how many lands and spells it actually has.
Yeah.
It's one of the subtler arts in the mulligan. Mulliganing the hands that won't win, even though they look playable.
Yeah.
You don't get bonus points for losing slowly, so those hands are not good.
Sometimes you lose pretty quickly, though. We saw Tony Lay mulligan to 4. It was 4 lands. And he got bashed in with Geist of St. Traft and an Angel. Just did him in real quick.
Happens. I won a mulligan to 4 just this week playing Adam Prozac's deck. So, there are flip sides to it, I should say. But obviously, 4 cards, not where you want to be, generally speaking.
Right.
But it's also very possible to get 4-card hands that are actually just better than your 7s and 6s and 5s.
So you've been playing Prozac's list pretty much?
I've been modifying it, tweaking it a little bit. Not real happy with the Think Twices that he played. Those seemed pretty mediocre after playing with them a little bit. I like the rewinds. I think I added them. I went to 2 Sphinx's Revelation. I'd like to get a 3rd somehow, but I don't think that's reasonable quite yet. I know he didn't like Syncopate. I kind of like including it in my mix because it changes your opponent's play a lot to have to respect Syncopate, so I want some, if not like a playset, but definitely some.
Yeah.
Oh, Gabriel 6 is not what he's looking for. He's definitely disappointed.
At least the planes, but I'm not sure I can. It looks very similar to his last
Oblivion Ring, a Thragtusk, and I think 2 somethings that he can't cast. I think they might have been 2 Pilgrims, but I'm not sure. Well, that hand definitely can't win, so ship that one.
Yeah.
It was even worse than our 7.
What do you think of the Prozac deck in general now that you've played it a bit?
I think it's good. I really liked it upon sight because I love Augur of Bolas and Runechainer's Pike in conjunction. Like Augur of Bolas is just one of my favorite cards to try and get value out of. Yeah, I love to grind value, so.
Yeah, it's funny because I liked Augur at first, but I have come to dislike it because whiffing with it is just the worst. I'm like, I don't want to play cards that make me feel bad. I don't want to play a 1/3 that does nothing.
It's funny because that's like, I'm known for being relatively tilty at times, but that's like on my list of things that doesn't bother me. Like, I've whiffed on Augur Bolus tons of times, never bothers me at all. I'm just like, oh, well, that's what that card does. That's how it works.
Right.
So I don't know. It just doesn't trigger my my tilt reflex.
I would much rather have a Court Hussar.
Oh, I think he had Temple Gardens in his last hand that he mulliganed, actually. So it was a 3-lander with no like 1, 2, or 3 drop. This hand significantly better. Although I thought that was a Temple Garden in his hand that he did not lead with. Maybe I'm wrong.
Yeah, I don't think that's Temple Garden. Ugh.
Nope, I guess it's not. Maybe,
I can't imagine it's Temple Garden at this point. Yeah. So Gabriel just has planes and has since played nothing.
What is that card then?
Not land. Farseek from William just to rub it in a little bit. Like,
yep.
I got lands. I get more lands.
Lands for days. Oh, I bet it's Rancor, actually. That would make sense. Yep, Rancor. That's what it is, 100%. To the left of the Avacyn's Pilgrim.
Oh, yeah, I see it.
So we got Rancor, 2 Selesnya Charms, an Avacyn's Pilgrim, and 2 other spells that I assume we can't cast since we didn't.
Yeah, finds a second planes, not really
looking at
enough.
our deck, I don't know if I had kept this hand either. We only have 12 green sources in our deck. So we're trying to hit one of those 12, like, off the top of the deck, and we get basically, like, 2 turns to do it at most. That's being generous. That's assuming your opponent isn't putting any pressure on you, and your opponent kept 7, so you probably can't really assume your opponent's doing nothing.
Well, Huntmaster of the Fells for William.
Yeah.
Brings along with it a wolf and 2 life.
Note that I'm not saying, like, Gabriel's Moldifor would have won this game. I'm just saying his Mold 5 isn't going to win this game. That's the problem.
Gavany Township is just really punishing Gabriel.
Rough way to go out. Not like this.
Yeah.
Not like this.
Ravager of the Fells makes an appearance.
Yeah, looks like Gabriel's going to be dropping down to 12 life and on a short clock. Another Huntmaster? You don't say. Well, that's going to present lethal damage if Gabriel doesn't do something on his turn. Doesn't have to be much, but we do have to at least cast a spell. Looks like we're getting a wolf token. Any of you mistrigger pundits out there? If we don't cast a spell, we dead.
That's it. Yeah, it's Avacyn's Pilgrim. He's got all sorts of green spells in his hand. No green mana.
Yeah.
And scoops him up. Unfortunately for Gabriel Odom, his deck does not cooperate. Despite him giving it multiple chances, William Yowell takes the match 2 games.